Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, the Big and Furry Bovine, and we're here to talk Northeast Ohio sports. If anybody wants to jump in on the panel, feel free. Just go to the show description on the YouTube link and just go ahead and click on it, and you'll be transported, just like Captain Kirk and Spock, right into the studio. I know that the interest is waning, and me too. I mean, let's be honest about this. Me too. I am disinterested at this point in the Cleveland Browns. I have to find humor out of this, because if I don't mine something from this, all it's going to be is frustration and aggravation. And who needs that? I'm trying to test something on here. Sorry if I seem distracted, but I'm doing a speed test, and I want to see what my speed is here, because I'm showing a kind of a low signal on my end, and that's not normal, but seems to be all right. Not me. So I'm going to start out with the things that make you go, Hello, Christopher Milton Sr. Hello, I. All right. Here's story one. If you're living in a cave, all right, the Browns Week 11 game versus the Bills relocated to Ford Field in Detroit. And that way the people in Detroit will feel great because they'll have a team just like their own on the field. Not referring to the Bills. And the poor Bills, the Bills kind of ended up with a situation where they couldn't even practice. They just said, to hell with it, go to Detroit. Heller, Detroit. An interesting choice to have to make. So they didn't even practice. But Stefanski got that practice in indoors, and Greg Newsome went down. That's the Cleveland Browns in a nutshell. Always losers. Always the wrong decision. What in the hell was he going full speed indoors in a practice for? And how did it happen? They never tell you how it happened, just that it happened. It's amazing, isn't it? So we lose our starting corner, and by not practicing at all, winner, advantage, Bills. And they don't need an advantage. They're already 5 times better than we are. To me, it's unreal. Only the Browns, right? So Newsome is out. They're saying that Njoku was questionable, but saying, I'll play. Well, he shouldn't play, because he's going to be dragged off the field very early. Oh, this is just starting, Radu. Believe me, this is just starting. And all the snow in Buffalo, I've seen that firsthand. It is wicked. I'll tell you, when they get lake effect up there, it is bad news. Myles Garrett is his yap again, as Radu was saying in the chat room. And I'm going to quote this on the Browns playing hesitantly on defense. Here's what Myles Garrett said. Everyone's going to make mistakes. I'm not sure if it's fear of that or just not knowing. It's a combination of things. I can't really tell you because that's out of my room most of the time. All right, and to put that into context, with Brian Wilson, it's in my... Wait, I'll do it. In my room, in my... For Myles Garrett, it's out of my room, out. Yeah, okay. A lot of those guys are still working to get all those really down pat so they can fly around at full speed and not have to worry about where they're supposed to be. And they know where they're supposed to be and they can execute their assignments. Can I just execute them? It's fucking week 10. How is it that Joe Woods could possibly still have his job? But he's not done. He's never done until he's just slaughtered everything. Myles Garrett on whether it was a hat tip to Miami's coaching staff. It was like they knew adjustments we were going to make. I mean, you've got a mongoloid idiot as a defensive coordinator, and he doesn't make adjustments at halftime or any other time. Okay. In some aspects, they out-physicaled us as far as reaching, and their hand placement was borderline illegal. Say the same thing about Deshaun Watson. But if it wasn't called, it wasn't called. We have to be able to adjust to that. The way they were able to get up that second line, getting up to the linebackers, making sure they couldn't flow over the top and fill the gaps, making sure that we were a second late just because of all the movements and motions that they were doing. All those things kept us on the back foot. So that's another credit to them and to their coaching, which is a discredit to our team and our coaching. He's already explained to you why they're hesitant and why they're a second late. They don't know where they're supposed to go anyway. Anybody could run through those holes. This is the most ridiculous thing that I have ever heard in my life. And I've heard some pretty ridiculous things. Week 10, and the players don't know what their gap assignments are. Isn't that great? These are all reasons just to stop concerning yourself. Don't root for this team now or ever. Just be done. I mean, I watch it. Kind of like Harry Carey in hell having to watch bad sporting events. Oh my God, not network stars again. I don't want those battles. Yeah. Poor Harry Carey is forced. He's in hell, strapped to a chair, forced to watch bad television. I, on the other hand, really do have a choice, but God, I've been doing it for so long, I don't know anything else. That's not all he had to say. Myles Garrett on his surprise with Miami's game plan. Honestly, how specific it was towards us, it wasn't like the first 15 plays that were scripted. It was like there were 60 scripted plays. The way they attacked us was very detailed in what they were trying to do and just had us out of position a lot of the time. It just seemed like when we tried to switch things up, they were a step ahead of us. You're being coached by a mongoloid idiot. Don't you understand? One chromosome too many. To me, all of this, my eyes already told me this. Anyone could run through those holes, and the problem doesn't get fixed. They just got to keep doing it over and over again. I'll say it again, like I said the week before and the week before. Browns have no chance. They got no chance. It's over. I don't mean just the season. It's like the entire fan interest. You can't bring these idiots back. So, with this in mind, after Myles Garrett, with his big mouth and limited achievement, continues on, I'm going to do some predictions, all right? These are my predictions, and this is as of the 18th of November, 2022, and you can write these down so you can shove them up my ass at a later date when they don't come to pass. But I'm going to take a shot at it. 1, Kevin Stefanski will be the coach of the Browns next year. All right? 2, Alex Van Pelt is going to be told that he can look elsewhere for employment. 3, the Browns are going to hire a new offensive coordinator who somehow is going to be a little bit more downfield oriented. All right. 4, Joe Woods will be fired right at the end of the season. After the end of the season, he'll be let go. And a tougher defensive coordinator with experience will be hired. And you're saying, well, what's so big about these predictions? And the answer is simple. $230 million riding on Deshaun Watson. We cannot any longer have Kevin Stefanski solely in charge of the offense because he doesn't know how to use a prolific quarterback. He just doesn't know how. He turns everybody into Case Keenum. That would be like a great tragedy thing. If you stare too long at your quarterback, you turn into Case Keenum. This is what he does for a living. That offensive coordinator who is going to be taking over for AVP will be the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns. And that is my prediction. Because they're already invested into a lifetime of Deshaun Watson. Guaranteed money. They have to do something to become more devoted to the forward pass. And I know they'll go overboard and they'll have him throw 54 times a game and forget they have a running game. And, and that's the way Jimmy Haslam is, for a lack of a better term, bipolar. He's one extreme or another. He never gets it in between. The guy never gets his meds right, There's never a balance to anything he does. It's either we're all in for Johnny Manziel or we don't need wide receivers and defensive tackles. There's just no in between. You can't run an organization that way, folks. It doesn't work that way. So again, I hope you've written that down and dated it and put it in your phone so that this time next year, I want to see people in here in the chat room saying, you fat fuck, you were wrong again. Fair enough. This is what I see coming. And if there is a new offensive coordinator, if I were Kevin Stefanski, I would start perspiring. And I would have a little rear view mirror on my shoulder so I could see what was behind me and whether it was gaining on me. That's what I'd do. Meanwhile, Joe Woods is still talking about, the criticism about the defense. Well, it's deserved in some instances. Get the fuck out of town. Get the fuck out of town. I've had enough of this whole act. And I'll tell you what else. There are some things that really bother me. And a lot of people will say, you're just this liberal Democrat guy. And to that I say this and I say that because he has a friend. They go wherever they go, one goes, the other one goes. Not true. I'm a fiscal conservative. I believe that people do have rights, and I do believe that we should try to make society a safer place. I do support law enforcement, but not when they side with people who have concealed weapons who are underage. But this is all nitpicking. This is all nitpicking. The story that I read today beat all. And I'm going off the beaten path, and I want to find this story. It was just something called the Fritz Pollard Alliance. I thought that it was that it was a German soul rap group, the FPA. All the way with the FPA, the Fritz Pollard Alliance. It's an organization whose mission it is to champion diversity in the NFL. They want to take a closer look at the Colts hiring of Jeff Saturday. That's right. Jeff Saturday, which may well turn out to be, a bad hire. So far, they're 1-0 with him. But it may turn out to be a bad thing. But these people want to go over it for reasons of diversity. It was racist. If I hear that one more fucking time, I'm going to scream. All right? Yeah, so much for your social liberal guy here. You know, I want fairness and equality for all people. But every time something like this happens, are you kidding? An interim coach? These people are so stupid at the Fritz Pollard Alliance. Go ahead and give the goddamn interim job to Eric Bieniemy, because interim means interim. If you understood the English language, you stupid fucks. You'll get let go at the end of the year. What's it matter who the goddamn interim coach is? I want to know who the coach is. Sometimes the interim coach becomes the head coach. Other times, he's just interim. But this organization seems hell-bent on this whole thing. Well, as long as you can hear me, for some reason, I'm getting a weak signal, and I looked up. My speed is okay, but hold on a sec. Just hold on. Maybe I know something. Maybe I don't. I'll be back. I don't know. I can't tell you. I think it's probably, if I'm guessing, a StreamYard issue. So if this is lagging or and if the visuals aren't all there, that's not me, because I've got 300 going up and coming down, and about 25 going up, and it's the same as it always is. And I've never seen this registering so regularly low. So I would think that this is a StreamYard issue. Sorry. Anyway, you don't come here to look at me. As long as you can hear what I'm saying, I guess it's okie dokie. Interim means interim. Why are they fighting for a guy in week 10 of the NFL season and screaming this message of racism? Because they're troublemakers. They're not trying to solve the problem. They're just people who are just finger pointers, and who needs them? I know I don't. The Indianapolis Colts hiring was really odd, and the vetting process really seems odd, but there is no Rooney Rule or even abridged Rooney Rule for any interim hire. That's going to go nowhere. They can scream all they want. Why don't they put all their energy into the cases that really make sense? Just a waste of time. I wanted to point that out because that story pissed me off, and I'm already probably pissed off enough. I don't know who the teammate was Greg Newsome collided with. If anybody knows that, let me know in the chat room. Hi, David Talevsky. How are you? Thanks again for the word up. Tell me, wait. Come on, baby. Tell me why the word up, word up. Okay. I don't know who he collided with, but it figures it was probably some bozo who you don't need, and the starting cornerback goes down with a concussion in a meaningless practice. You got to love it. Got to love the Browns. There's nobody around the league, by the way, who's picking the Browns to win this game. You know that, don't you? And they got to make a story out of it. Well, you know, Josh Allen has thrown multiple interceptions in his last couple of games. The Browns have intercepted three passes all year. I mean, that's fucking embarrassing. You're not even in the same zip code as the ball. You're not going to get interceptions. Unreal. I know he's not going to do that on Sunday. He's going to rip our heads off, and it's going to be ugly as hell because they're going to feast on the confusion that is the Cleveland Browns. And they'll be back in, post-game conferences doing the same thing, saying, well, you got to do better. I don't see this game even being close. And I will go as far as saying that I believe it will be so one-sided as the Miami game should have been. The score was kind of, that last score at 17-7. And if you go back to the halftime show, I said they're going to be in the end zone, just lickety-split in the third quarter. And sure enough, it took 3.5 minutes for them to go right down the field and score a touchdown. And that was the ball game. But at 10-7, that game shouldn't have been 10-7. It was 4 plays for the Cleveland Browns. Do you realize that it was 35 minutes between scores? This game, you have a dearth of scoring. You go through a period where you're not scoring, the Bills are just going to run it up, and run it up. This is going to be the real deal, folks. The real deal. 45. The Browns 17 in garbage time. You're going to see Joshua Dobbs. Okay? Just preparing you for what you're going to see. Nothing against Joshua Dobbs, mind you. But everyone around, if you're looking, I'll tell you, week 11 picks, the Bills 26-21, the Bills 30-17, and the FPI prediction is Buffalo 80.5% by an average of 10 points. And once it's 10 points, what difference does it make, right? You're not competitive. You're not competitive. Here's what CBS says, 30-20, the Bills over the Browns. Here's what NFL.com says, 30-21, the Bills over the Browns. Oh, so everyone's picking them for 30 points or more? I couldn't find a single place that thought the Browns were going to win this game. The spread is negative 7.5 for the Bills. The over-under is 48.5 points, and baby, you know damn well that at least 30 of them are going to belong to the Buffalo Bills. And now, the only hope that the Browns had was that the snow conditions were so bad that it would have retarded the scoring, and there would be a lower scoring game that would maybe look better at the end of the day. But we don't even have that going for us because we got a roof over our heads, which is just going to allow that Buffalo offense to ignite. Rick May is already making his call at 37-21. I can't say that I argue. Even Wolfgar says there's just no reason to pick the Browns. The thing that's funny is I'm watching the viewership of these shows just going to hell in a handbasket, and it's because of the shit product that I have to talk about. And it's too bad. It's really too bad. Maybe it does have to be this way. I don't know. There are other people in the league who are feeling the pain of Baker Mayfield. Jameis Winston is the latest one who says, it hurts my soul not playing. Can you imagine losing your job once you get healthy to Andy Dalton? Can anybody say tank? You want a virtual mug. I'll tell you one thing. You better be right, Double P, or you will be mugged by people of reason. The Browns are not going to 27-23, but hey, you're entitled to your opinion. That's free speech, man. I don't know these articles. What does the Browns defense have to do to stop Josh Allen? It's kind of like if you were fighting George Foreman in his prime or Mike Tyson in his prime, and you didn't have the basic rudiments of defense, you'd be out of there real quick. Body bag. There is nothing the Browns defense can do against Josh Allen because they don't understand their own defensive scheme. Never have. In 2 years, 2 seasons. Never have, never will. And Joe Woods is going to literally fade into nothingness. He's going to wind up being a linebackers coach somewhere. At Grambling or Jackson State or wherever, Alcorn, wherever. That's where he's going to end up. I don't get it. Having a short memory will be key for the Browns defense against Josh Allen. They do have a short memory. They can't remember what their assignments are. Oh, my God. Here's Wolfgar. What made Tyson so good in his prime? He didn't have the measurements of a typical heavyweight. Well, what he did have is he used his lack of size to advantage. And if you look at Tyson's career, the guys he had the most problem with were the bigger guys. James Quick Tillis gave him 10 hard rounds before Mike Tyson was champion. And James Quick Tillis was a journeyman, but he was 6'4", and he had a long reach of 80 inches. So that gate would give Tyson trouble from the get-go. But if you look at the guys that Tyson was knocking out, in the beginning of his career, there were a bunch of, Donnie Long kind of tomato cans, just people that he could blow real hard, and the wind would knock these guys over. But Trevor Berbick, when he won the title, Trevor Berbick fought small, and he had no movement. He was awkward. And he stood in front of you. That's tailor-made. Michael Spinks was a weight class below. All right, by all fairness, he was a blown-up light heavyweight, so he got knocked out. You start looking at James Buster Douglas defeating him. That's a big guy. Already by that time, you're up to a 6'3", 6'4", 230-pound guy. That gave Tyson problems. But what Tyson did well, had very fast hands, and he used his lack of size. And if you watch him, it's almost like deep knee bends. He would spring into his punches and always low, so he was forcing people to punch down at him. And when they came in to do that, he would counter with left hooks and not with single punches. He had punch combination routines that were drilled into him by Kevin Rooney. So now they want to. Here we go. In their primes, who would have? I love these questions, don't you? Who would have won, Joe Louis or Mike Tyson? And it's interesting because Joe Louis in his prime was only 194 pounds, and he was pretty slow-footed, but his hands were inordinately fast, and it would have been a wild war. Now, Joe Louis, for his part, was in a couple of wild wars. He got knocked down by 2-ton Tony Galento, who was just a nobody. But a guy who was an octopus who just came forward and just swinging madly. That kind of fight is Tyson would have actually outweighed Lewis by 25 pounds. Tyson was 215 in his prime, and Lewis was 194. So, I'd say that just on the sheer measurements of it, Tyson would have an advantage, but Lewis had a real honest-to-God jab and the shortest powerful right hand in the early history of boxing. So you take all the way up to the midpoint of the century, Joe Louis was the most devastating puncher. If you don't believe me, just look up on YouTube the second Schmeling fight and see the concussions of the head. I mean, it was scary, the right hands that Louis was landing on Schmeling. So Christopher Milton is also going for broke on the virtual coffee mug, saying that the Browns will somehow win 28-27. And then there's this. Who would win, Marciano or Tyson? The answer is Tyson. Marciano is probably one of the most overrated guys. He was a protected fighter. And the funny thing is that Marciano, got out of the championship at the right time. They wanted nothing to do with Sonny Liston, the big ugly bear, because of the size differential. We're talking about Lewis at 194. Marciano was 185, 187 in his prime. And he also had a big punch, but he wound up. He was knocked down in two different fights by a 40-year-old Jersey Joe Walcott. I don't think that Marciano was all that. I think what he was extremely tough, and he was leathered tough, man. And if he hit you, he hurt you. I mean, his punches hurt, and he would hit you anywhere in the arms and the torso, and he would trap people on the ropes. That's how he ended up getting Jersey Joe Walcott in a fight that Walcott was winning, trapped him on the ropes in the 13th round and just knocked him cold. Any given moment, he could land a big punch. But that 30 pounds he'd be giving away would just be hell. And that wild swinging style, if he hit Tyson, we question Tyson's heart based on what happened with every time he got hit in his career really hard. But early on in the fight, he would have been standing directly in front of Mike Tyson, and a shorter man standing in front of Mike Tyson was a victim. All right. So, yeah, I did, Christopher. And Ndamukong Suh is with the Eagles now. And, again, the Browns just don't do anything. So, what can I tell you? The short memory that the Browns defense needs against Josh Allen, it's too late to learn the scheme. The thing that people don't understand is all of that stuff is supposed to be done before the season begins, and you practice it and practice it and practice it, and there's no real preseason anymore, so you go out in week one and you give it your all. The Browns just never learned to know the system, didn't know it last year. It's not being communicated to them, so they're never going to get it. Never going to get it, never get it. No, 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 no. Never get it, never gonna get it. Sounds like En Vogue. Let's see. A boy named Sue didn't want to come to Cleveland. Remember, he was free agent. Yeah, I mean, why would he come to Cleveland? This is just like in the NBA. He wants to go where the playoff team. Completely understandable. So Koromoa is going to be back. We're getting him back. Another linebacker who doesn't know which way to go. As if Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is going to be able to do something that is going to outthink Josh Allen. Please make it stop and go away. I don't know what to tell you. Except I'm done talking about the Browns. I've already told you what I think is going to happen. I think everyone in the chat room has told you what they thought. As far as Deshaun Watson is concerned, yeah, he'll get an opportunity to play this year, but nobody's going to look good. There is no quarterback who will look good with this group of wide receivers. It's not going to happen. I'd like to say that it could, but, I don't understand why I still see Anthony Schwartz on the field. Why isn't David Bell playing every down? Just find out what they have with him. He's at least caught a few passes. I know he's slow as molasses, but he at least catches the ball. He has hands. And you know, they're not going to completely clean house. They can't do that. They can't do that. It never comes down that way. In the NFL, it comes down to what I call the slow bleed. They're going to get rid of the pieces around Stefanski. That means new defensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator. When they hire a new offensive coordinator, there's going to be no more little Nelly AVP who just goes along with the paycheck. They're going to bring in somebody who wants to have some substantive say as to what the Browns need to do to get balance in their offensive attack. And that is going to take authority away from Stefanski. And that will be what puts him from the back burner, then the front burner, he'll get fired. The way it works. Not going to fire the head coach. Fire the defensive coordinator, bring in a new offensive coordinator. That's the way it's done in the NFL, not for long. So, yeah. Do we have anything else to say of any value about this football game? I know I don't. I do have something to say about the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have now lost 5 games in a row. I can tell you what the problem with the Cavaliers is. For one thing, the injuries haven't helped them. But they are playing like they don't believe anymore, and they're going rogue. The system that brings them success in sharing the ball isn't happening right now. And that's a problem. Because we have 2 guards who are great guards, but they've only played 5-6 games together. That's it. And that's got to develop over time. We have too many people on the roster who simply cannot contribute. People like Okoro, who can't shoot. That would be one example. They've been trying to insert Kevin Love into the starting lineup. You can't do that. Kevin Love is strictly, at this point in his career, an off-the-bench guy, and he can give you, 18 to 20 minutes off the bench. Not all at once. And he comes in to shoot the basketball. The last game, Kevin Love started 3. He only got 3 shots. What's the good of having an old guy out there if you're only going to give him 3 shots at the basket? He's better off coming off the bench. Here's another problem. Karis LeVert is a 2. He's not a 3. Okoro is a 2. He's not a 3. To get Donovan Mitchell, we gave away basically a 3 in Lauri Markkanen. We don't have a 3. So what we're choosing from are smaller guys like Okoro and LeVert. LeVert's got more height, but LeVert loves to hog the ball and try ridiculous one-on-one moves that have no chance of going in. And he's a poor 3-point shooter. Okoro can't shoot at all. And then there's Riddle and Child, Jetty Osman, who once in a blue moon could really get his dander up and look really good and then go away for weeks at a time. He's 6'8", but he's a guard. He's really not a 3. He's not a rebounder. And what we're seeing with the Cavaliers now is they're not rebounding. I mean defensive rebounds. Teams are getting second and third looks regularly against the team. And I know you're going to say Jared Allen was down. And as far as I know, I don't know whether he's playing tonight or not. Somebody might, can check to see if he's sitting out again. Because, there's a mixed signal here. Well, he had an ankle problem, then he got a non-COVID illness, and now he's still sick from a non-COVID illness. I don't know what's going on. It sounds like the flu. If that's the case, other people might have it as well. And Double P is analyzing this in a pretty responsible way. We couldn't match up Giannis one-on-one, so we had to double, leaving Lopez wide open all game. They were simply too big for us. But we've been getting out-rebounded over the course of this losing streak. The thing that's interesting is nobody in their right mind leaves Lopez that open. That was just weird. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Double P. the decision was made from on high that we're not going to let Giannis beat us, and that was a mistake because they had a bunch of players of their own who were out, injured. Middleton, Grayson Allen, Drew Holiday, all hurt. I'd have made Giannis go out and score 40. Make him do it. Can't shoot free throws very well either. And share the ball, and tire Giannis out. And just shut down the rest of those guys who were bench players. Instead, we left the bench players wide open, and they shot us out of the arena. So, the fact is, Larry Nance Jr. doesn't do anything for us. Nice guy. Great guy. He doesn't shoot the three well. What you need is somebody at the three who could play a semblance of defense, but who can knock down the shot. And we don't have that guy. And Dean Wade is another guy who's got problems with his knee, and it may be more than what we suspect. I'm hearing bursitis now, but bursitis is weeks. Bursitis is a bitch, is what it is. Thank you, David. Allen is back tonight. David Talevsky's been a real blessing. He comes up with the goods and the information to help me out. Thank you. But Double P, I believe that Karis LeVert will be on the trading block, and he'll no longer be with the Cavaliers after the trade deadline. I believe that's the case. We're going to do whatever we can to get our hands on a shooting three. And some people were pointing at the guy who's got the hurt shoulder in Milwaukee, Grayson Allen. And I don't want him because he's a dirty player, guy from Duke, but he shoots over 40% from three. What you're going to get is not going to be a great three-point guy. He's not going to be a great position three on the court, but so much better than what we have. And we have these guys clogging up our lineup. I would like to see Diakita. Is that Mamadou? From Virginia. Diakate. Yeah. But in the preseason, he was hitting corner threes, and he's longer, taller, could rebound a little bit. We'll see what comes to pass. But I think that, Lamar Stevens tries real hard, but he's too small to be a three. He's only 6'5". They stretch him out and say he's 6'6", but he's 6'5". As far as the Browns are concerned, Allen is hard to tackle. We're not even getting within the area code of the quarterback. Come on. We have no interior line. What are we going to run at him? And you do that, you blitz, and he escapes, and he has guys downfield who can run faster than your people, and he'll just cut loose a 60-yard pass. I don't know. There's no way of winning this. I give up. Uncle. Didn't get any sacks last week. I mean, what? Now, granted, Allen holds on to the ball longer than Tua does, but still not long enough, because there's always, in a good offensive scheme, an outlet. Always that drop-off guy. So, I guess this is going to be a rare occasion where I come up 15 minutes short, because I have nothing to analyze in this Sunday's football game. Cavaliers are starting at 7:30, and that's another thing I don't understand. Games used to start at 7:05. Now the 7 o'clock starts seem to start closer to 7:10 or 7:15, And now they're having 7:30 starts in the NBA. I don't know what that's all about. Bronk is going full bore, 56-16. Yeah, the only way is if we would have been able to, a holiday on ice, Oh, and there's Lenny the cow. The only cow I know, Lenny the cow, who's still a spokesperson of Liberty Ford. Oh, I guess the Wizards are at 7, according to Dactar. Yeah, for some reason, a lot of games starting at 7:30, though. Oh, here comes Lenny the cow with a prediction. I'm doing it for him. Yeah. 41-17, Bufala. Yeah. And yeah, hasn't that gotten old real quick? Like, I don't want no MILF winking at me, for one thing. Some Carrie Bradshaw third stringer winking at me to buy a car, especially a fucking Kia. Make it stop, dear Cod. But her tits aren't always bad. But that's what car dealers have done since the beginning of time. I mean, you could walk into any car dealer sales guy's office. Back when I was selling radio advertising, they would have like a topless calendar in there, and they're married men. It don't matter. Car dealer salespeople and car dealers themselves, they love themselves some boobage. They just do. And Joe, who is an expert on such things, their new location is in Detroit, in a suburb, Oakland Heights. There you go. Christopher, my pleasure is to listen and not just to talk. Mark Ross, yeah, we're all pretty much on the same page. The only question is how long the drives are going to last. I mean, if the Browns run the football and get a number of first downs and don't get stuffed, then we could theoretically keep the game closer than what some of these projections are. But, well, I don't think, something, I think for all the talk, I think when it comes down, if it came down to playing in the snow, the answer would have been no way. No way would Njoku have played. But indoors, he might, but I still don't think it's a good idea. High ankle sprain doesn't usually heal this quick, and that can become a season-ending injury just by re-aggravating it. Yes, and then there was a C. Miller Chevrolet. We're going back decades now. Let's get Wedge fired! And it's burn, burn, burn for Eric Wedge's Ring of Fire. Yeah. Oh, God. You have to have been part of this program many decades ago. So hard to remember. And Dactar, crazy Dactar, says Browns win. And then Bazirk card. Okay, I'll try to Bazirk if I can. Woof, woof. Bark, bark. Everybody, thanks a lot for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. I hope to God nobody else has to see this program. It wasn't my finest hour, but what the hell? I'm working on like no sleep from last night. So I think I've done pretty good. Everybody, have yourselves a fun weekend, and we'll be back with a halftime and a post-game show Sunday, 1 o'clock starting time from Detroit, Michigan, Ford Field. And that's where the game's happening. And I'm sure that some Detroit fans will show up and commiserate with Browns fans. Have yourselves a good one. Go Cavs. I'm going to be checking that one out right after the show. Until halftime on Sunday, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.